I'm stressed. You're stressed. Who isn't stressed these days? The unfortunate thing with ADHD is that for ADHDers, they have anywhere from a 4 to 47% chance of also having anxiety. That's a high percentage. So almost one potential of almost 1 in 2 ADHDers also suffer with anxiety. So let's talk about that today and what we can do about that and tangible tools and techniques to move and control and grow through our stress and anxiety. First of all, let's talk about what's the difference between stress and anxiety. So stress is a response to something that usually happens that might make us feel uneasy or uncomfortable or just anxious or revved up or on edge. That is okay if it's appropriate in the moment. It just then is what happens with that for it to then be okay and we move past the stress event and we continue on with our day-to-day living and we thrive and we have a good quality of life. Or does that stress now become anxiety? Anxiety is when we hold on to that stress, when it overpowers us, when it takes control, when it takes the driver's seat, when we can't move past it, when something that triggered our anxiety we should have been able to overcome in an hour or half an hour or a day now is lingering. What are symptoms of anxiety? That can present like a lot of things. But really, it's the sense of ease or uncomfortable feeling that you just can't get rid of. It can be physical symptoms like palpitations or feeling like your heart's going to jump out of your chest. It just can be like sweating. It can just be this sense of like dread or feeling that you need to flee. Sometimes it can take over and just be there. It can be triggered by an event. You could wake up feeling stressed and anxious. You can have this sense of unease and comfortableness. Anxiety affects our ability to focus. Anxiety contributes to and can lead to depression. Anxiety can contribute to and lead to insomnia. But at the end of the day, since we're mainly focusing on how it affects ADHD, is they're very intertwined and we really need to control anxiety to get the best control of our ADHD. Because if we're stressed and anxious and worried, that's going to lead to mental fog and difficulty following through with things. Stress, anxiety, worry, on edge, uncomfortable, unsettled is going to be difficult with time wisdom and knowing how long it's going to take to do something and finishing it. It's going to hold us back from finishing what we start to do. It's going to affect our executive dysfunction. Anxiety is going to wreak havoc in our personal life and our work life. It's something we really need to grasp and get under control. There are a lot of good techniques and things we can work on for anxiety management, which is the good thing. So we can do cognitive behavioral therapy, which is really great and really good with a trained or licensed therapist. That's really going to help build up those tools and techniques of what to do when you feel anxious, when you feel stressed, when you just can't move past that stress trigger or that stress response and the anxiety is now lingering, taking control, taking the driver's seat, getting the best of you, which is not what we want. We want to be the boss of our ADHD. We also want to be the boss of our anxiety and not the opposite way around. Other than therapy, there are a lot of things that are helpful. Exercise has been shown to be helpful for anxiety. Both cardio and weight training are both good for anxiety management. Aromatherapy, so essential oils can be helpful. Peppermint is good for focus. Lavender is good for relaxation to calm down. Different essential oils can be very helpful and soothing. Deep breathing exercises. There are so many great different deep breathing exercises. You can do box deep breathing. You can do slow deep breathing. You can do body scan. There's so many great deep breathing techniques that aren't going to be natural or comfortable at the beginning, but with practice are going to get better and easier and more effective to manage our anxiety and stress. There are other things that can be really helpful, such as just coming up with colors, numbers, and quantities and reviewing that and even saying it out loud can be really helpful to kind of de-escalate and bring you back from the stressful moment. So that would look like, look around you. What do I see that's blue? Okay, I'm looking outside. The house next to me is blue. The sky is blue. Okay, those are two blue things I see. What do I see is purple? I don't see anything purple. Okay, let's move on. What do I see is black? Okay, I see a black cat outside. I see a man walking a black dog. So looking for colors, saying it out loud. The same with quantities. What is something of 3 I see? What is something of 4? Okay, I see 2 square windows on the house next to me and a square this or that. So look for quantities and then shapes too. So what's square, what's circular, what do I see in quantities of 3 and quantities of 5, and then colors. Just kind of that will bring you back to the current present moment and help kind of push you on to the next thing. Oftentimes will de-escalate that anxiety. Also, mindfulness and grounding is so crucial and important. So grounding is just bringing yourself back to what you can feel, touch, experience. Think of it like you're grounding yourself to something tangible, touchable, the physical, touchable world. So that can be picking up your water cup. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does the ice crunching between your teeth taste like? What does the lemon in your water taste like? What does it make you feel? What memories does it bring back? So what do I see, taste, touch, feel, experience? So those things can be helping you ground yourself, and then you move forward to something else. Another little trick that can be helpful is imagine going to a different room, or actually getting up and moving to a different room in your house or your office. And think of it like this. I'm changing rooms. That means I'm changing chapters in my day or the story of my life. So just because this chapter in this room is finishing off with stress and anxiety, doesn't mean that the chapter in the next room has to start off with stress, anxiety, right? Another just imagery thing that is helpful for some people is imagining writing down your stressors on a piece of paper. Imagine crumpling it up and throwing it in the stream in front of you and watching your stress and anxiety and worries float down the river out of your way. You can actually physically write your stressors or anxieties and crumple them up and throw it away, or you can write your stressors and anxieties on a paper and burn it in a fireplace. Sometimes these things can be very therapeutic to kind of calm that ease and that stress. Stress balls or fidget objects sometimes can be helpful. Talking through things with someone you love or care about can help de-stress things. Taking off things from your to-do list or your plate. If your plate is too full, that's going to lead to stress and anxiety. So reevaluating my commitments and what I must do or I think I must do to see if I can tone that down to kind of take some of that load off, that mental load off, so I'm not so anxious in the morning or just in the day in general. If I have any depression or insomnia, make sure I'm addressing that so that as I address other mental health concerns or issues, that's going to also help my anxiety and then my focus and concentration improve. So there are lots of things you can do to start working on bringing that anxiety down, whether it's deep breathing, whether it's walking and exercise, whether it's listening to calming music, whether it's working through things with a therapist, whether it's taking supplements like N-acetylcysteine, NAC, or magnesium glycinate, 2 supplements that are recommended at bedtime that are both shown helpful to bring down that stress level a little bit. The caveat with the NAC, the N-acetylcysteine, is if you have asthma, it can bring on or exacerbate bronchial spasms, so avoid the N-acetylcysteine with asthma. There are lots of things we can do to start toning down that anxiety, that level of unease, that uncomfortableness, because at the end of the day, if anxiety is the boss of my life, then my focus is not going to be good. If anxiety is the boss of my life, my sleep is not going to be good. Anxiety wreaks havoc in all areas of our life, and we need to address this with lifestyle techniques, with potentially therapy, with potentially supplements, with potentially prescription medicine from your psychiatric provider or your primary care provider. But at the end of the day, don't accept living in anxiety in a constant state of worry or feeling that it's taking the driver's seat too often. Don't accept that as reality. Don't accept that as the only way you can live, because there is hope, there is potential, there is capacity for change as long as you are willing to make that change and you're open to that change. Which of the techniques out of all the techniques I addressed today, briefly, will help you move forward, and what can you try? Love to see it in the comment below what you think is helpful or what you're going to try next.